Let's pick back up with our example. So now that we've used our regression line to predict the weight of the man who is 75 inches tall, we want to find the coefficient of determination r squared. So you'll notice that's still on our screen here. So we're just going to estimate that here. So r squared here is approximately 0.8357. And now we want to interpret the coefficient of determination. So what we're going to say here, there's several different ways to interpret it. This is just one way, so I'm going to say approximately 84%, so I'm going to round that there, of the variability and the weight is explained by the least squares regression line. So there we're always looking at the response variable. So now we want to plot the residuals against the height as a scatter plot, and this is what we call a residual plot. But to do that, we need to do something first. So we have to find the residuals. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in to Stat and go into our edit mode, and we're going to go over to L3, but we're going to go up. So we actually want to put something in for L3. So now we're going to press second and Stat to activate list. And then number 7 will give us our residuals. So that kind of looks like the word residual, so that's the way to figure that out. And I'm going to press enter, and it'll just automatically calculate all the residuals for me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press second y equals to go to my stat plot, and then enter, and then go down here. And I want to change my y list here. Instead of it being L2, my residuals are now in L3, so I want to change that to L3, so I'm going to press second 3, and then it'll give me L3, and then I'm going to hit graph here. And you'll notice we see that line there. So I'm going to press zoom, and then remember that number 9 was zoom stat on my particular calculator, but again, you can just scroll through the menu till you find zoom stat and press enter. And now we'll see that residual plot. So that's the way to do that. So let's go a step back for a second and change the plot back to L2 for a second. And then hit graph. And then do zoom 9. And you'll notice because I stored that regression equation, it's plotting that regression line on top of that. Right? So what is a residual? So a residual is the difference between the observed and the predicted value. So kind of remember that in alphabetical order. So O comes before P. So to kind of think about it as like rope, and then you'll kind of remember that there. So the residual here is the difference between the observed value, so this value, and the line. So that residual there should be negative. This one, the residual between that value and the line would be positive. This one looks like it's on the line, so that residual should be 0. And just kind of go back there. So I'm going to do second mode to quit there. Now we're going to find the sum of the squared residuals. So there's several different ways to do this one again as well. So this is just one way to do that. So I'm going to press stat and then enter again to go to edit mode. Go over to L4. I'm going to go up again and go back into that second stat to go into list mode. 7 for residuals, and then I'm going to press my squared button just diagonally up to the left from 7 and then enter. So that'll square all of my residuals. So I'm going to do second mode to quit, go to stat, calc, go into our 1 bar stats that we've used before, And we wanted to perform one variable stats on our list 4. So now I'm going to press enter there. And I'm looking at the sum of x, so that sums up everything that's in that column, and that would be the sum of our squared residuals. So in this case, 515.669. Right? So if you have one of the menus there and you're doing the one variable stats, you want your list to be L4, your frequency list would not have anything. You would go down to calculate and then press enter. And our last thing here, we want to look at a man who's 75 inches tall, has a weight of 187 pounds, and we want to know if the man's weight is above or below average. So we're looking at the residual here. So again, the residual is the observed value minus the predicted value. All right. So in this case, our observed is the 187, and cleverly, I made that what we found up here. Oops. Right. And so when I subtract those two, let's do that here. So 187 minus 199.245, we get negative 12.245. So this would be below average, which means that it's below the regression line. So that's how you can relate the two of those together. So this pretty much sums up what you need to know for the majority of chapter 4. There's just a few little things here and there that you'll also need to know.